Most people believe they're struggling financially because they don't earn enough. They wait for a promotion, a new job, or a lucky break to change their situation. But even when the money increases, the result remains painfully familiar. The account empties, debt returns, and the stress stays. Why? Because the problem isn't just in the numbers. It's in the invisible pattern that governs every decision you make with money. Financial results don't appear by accident. They're the direct consequence of habits, beliefs, and automatic reactions you've been repeating for years, often without noticing. You might think you're making conscious choices when you swipe that card, skip the budget review, or convince yourself it's just this once. But beneath those decisions lies a behavioral structure that's been running on autopilot, producing the same mediocre outcomes over and over again. Until you identify and interrupt this pattern, no income increase will save you. The cycle will simply repeat at a higher financial level, with bigger numbers but the same emptiness at the end of the month. This isn't about willpower or intelligence. It's about understanding how your financial behavior operates below the surface. Most people never look there. They focus on symptoms. I need to spend less. I should save more, without addressing the root cause, the unconscious pattern that dictates how they relate to money. And that's precisely why they stay stuck. Think about your last 5 financial decisions. Did you pause before making them? Did you evaluate the real impact on your future? Or did you act on impulse, emotion, or convenience? If you're honest, you'll notice a trend. The same justifications appear. The same excuses surface. The same temporary problems become permanent. That's the pattern speaking. It's not random. It's systematic. And it's keeping you exactly where you are. Consider someone who earns a modest income and lives paycheck to paycheck. They get a salary raise. What happens? Initially, there's relief. Maybe they pay off a small debt or buy something they've been postponing. But within months, new expenses emerge. A slightly nicer apartment, a better car, more dining out, subscriptions they didn't have before. The spending expands to fill the new income. Soon, they're back to living on the edge, just with higher numbers. The pattern didn't change. It scaled. The behavior remained the same. This happens because the underlying relationship with money never shifted. The person still operates from the same mental framework. Money comes in, money goes out, and whatever's left, usually nothing, is what they deal with. There's no intentional structure, no conscious filtering system, no strategic thinking. Money is treated as something that flows through life, not something that's actively directed. And without that shift, results stay mediocre regardless of income. The same applies to debt. Someone decides to pay off their credit card. They sacrifice, cut back, work extra hours, and finally clear the balance. Victory, right? Except within 6 months, the card is maxed out again. Different purchases, different circumstances, same result. Why? Because the behavior that created the first debt never changed. The person didn't address why they reached for credit in the first place, what emotional trigger made spending feel necessary, or what gap in planning left them vulnerable. They treated the symptom, the debt, without healing the cause, the pattern. So the problem returned, inevitably. Now let's talk about the deeper layer, beliefs. Most people carry financial beliefs they never chose consciously. They inherited them from parents, absorbed them from their environment, or developed them through painful experiences. Beliefs like, money is hard to keep, I'm not good with numbers, rich people are greedy, or I'll never get ahead. These beliefs operate silently, shaping behavior without ever being questioned. And they create self-fulfilling prophecies. If you believe money is hard to keep, you won't build systems to protect it. You'll subconsciously find ways to spend it, because that aligns with your internal narrative. If you believe you're not good with finances, you won't invest time learning or planning because what's the point? Your belief confirms itself through your behavior, and the cycle tightens. You're not aware you're doing this. It feels like reality, but it's just a story you've been telling yourself for so long that it became your truth. Breaking the pattern requires becoming aware of it first. You can't change what you don't see. Start by observing your financial behavior as if you were watching someone else. No judgment, no shame, just data. When do you spend impulsively? What emotions precede that decision? What thoughts justify it? When do you avoid looking at your finances? What fear or discomfort are you running from? These observations reveal the pattern. Most people avoid this step because it's uncomfortable. It forces you to confront habits you'd rather ignore and beliefs you'd rather not question. But discomfort is the entry point to change. If you keep doing what's comfortable, you'll keep getting what's familiar. And if what's familiar is financial mediocrity, comfort is your enemy. Let's address a common misconception. Financial success isn't about depriving yourself. It's not about living miserably now so you can be comfortable later. That mentality creates resistance and resentment, which eventually leads to behavioral rebellion. You'll snap and overspend just to feel alive again. The real shift is about aligning your spending with what genuinely matters to you, not with what advertising, social pressure, or emotional impulses dictate. It's about becoming intentional. Intentionality is the opposite of pattern repetition. A pattern runs automatically. Intentionality requires presence. It means pausing before you act, asking, does this align with where I want to go? And being willing to choose differently even when it feels awkward. It's not about perfection. It's about breaking the autopilot, one decision at a time. Here's the truth most people don't want to hear. You're getting exactly the results your current behavior produces, not the results you wish for, not the results you think you deserve. The results you're actually generating through your daily choices. If you don't like those results, something in the behavior has to change. And that something isn't surface level. It's not about downloading a budgeting app or reading motivational quotes. It's about dismantling the unconscious pattern and rebuilding your relationship with money from the ground up. Another critical point. Patterns are reinforced by environment. If everyone around you normalizes debt, impulsive spending, and financial chaos, you'll unconsciously adopt those behaviors as standard. If your social circle mocks saving or views financial planning as boring, you'll resist doing it to fit in. Environment shapes behavior more than most people realize. You can't completely control your environment, but you can become aware of its influence and consciously counteract it. Think about the messages you absorb daily. Advertisements designed to create desire for things you didn't know you wanted. Social media showing curated lives that make your own seem lacking. Conversations that equate worth with possessions. All of this feeds the pattern. It tells you that spending is success, that credit is normal, that struggling financially is just part of being an adult. None of that is true, but if you never question it, you'll live by it. Financial mediocrity is also sustained by short-term thinking. Patterns thrive when you focus only on immediate needs and ignore future consequences. I need this now overrides, what will this cost me later? Every time. The person stuck in the pattern is always reacting to the present moment, never planning beyond it. They handle today's crisis without noticing they're creating tomorrow's. And when tomorrow arrives, the cycle repeats. Breaking this requires stretching your time horizon. Ask yourself, where will this decision leave me in 6 months? In a year? In 5 years? That simple question disrupts the pattern. It forces you to think beyond the immediate gratification or relief. Most poor financial decisions collapse under that scrutiny. The impulse purchase, the unnecessary loan, the just, this once expense, they rarely survive a long-term perspective. Let's talk about emotional spending, because it's one of the most common drivers of repeated financial failure. Many people use money to regulate emotions. Stressed? Buy something. Sad? Treat yourself. Bored? Online shopping. The spending provides a temporary hit of pleasure or distraction, but it solves nothing. The emotion returns, often worse because now there's guilt or financial stress layered on top. So you spend again, chasing the relief, deepening the hole. The pattern becomes a coping mechanism, and like all unhealthy coping mechanisms, it's hard to break without replacing it with something better. The replacement isn't another form of spending. It's developing healthier ways to process emotions. Movement, conversation, creative outlets, rest, anything that actually addresses the feeling instead of masking it. This sounds basic, but it's revolutionary for someone whose default has always been to swipe a card when life gets hard. Changing this requires recognizing the emotional trigger before the spending happens, which takes practice and self-awareness. Now, let's get practical. If you're serious about breaking the pattern, you need to create friction between impulse and action. The modern financial system is designed to make spending effortless. One-click purchases, Contactless payments, auto renewals. Convenience serves the pattern. To disrupt it, add intentional obstacles. Remove saved payment. Information from websites. Set a 48-hour rule for non-essential purchases. Require yourself to manually transfer money from savings before buying anything beyond basics. These steps feel annoying, and that's the point. The annoyance creates a pause, and in that pause, awareness can emerge. Another practical step: track every expense for 30 days. Not to judge yourself, but to see the pattern objectively. You'll notice trends you've been blind to. Money disappearing on subscriptions you forgot about. Frequent small purchases that add up to shocking totals. Categories where you consistently overspend. This data shows you where the pattern is strongest, which tells you where to focus your effort. You can't fight what you can't see. Accountability also helps. Patterns thrive in secrecy and isolation. When no one knows what you're doing with money, there's no external check on your behavior. Share your financial goals with someone you trust, not for judgment, but for support. Having to admit I overspent this week, or I avoided my budget again, to another person creates a layer of accountability that your own mind often can't provide. Choose someone who won't enable you or shame you, just someone who will ask the honest questions. Let's address the lie that keeps many people trapped. I'll start when I have more money. This is the pattern protecting itself. It convinces you that change is only possible under better circumstances, which keeps you from acting now. But the truth is the skills and behaviors required to manage money well are the same at every income level. If you can't manage a small amount with discipline and clarity, you won't magically manage a large amount better. The pattern will scale with your income. Start now, with what you have, however imperfect. That's the only way forward. You also need to confront the identity piece. Many people define themselves by their financial struggle. I'm broke. I'm bad with money. I'll always be in debt. These statements feel like facts, but they're identity claims. An identity is powerful. It dictates behavior to stay consistent with itself. If being broke is part of who you are, you'll unconsciously sabotage any progress that threatens that identity. To change results, you have to be willing to let go of the identity attached to those results. You have to become someone different, which is unsettling but necessary. This doesn't mean pretending to be someone you're not. It means recognizing that who you've been financially isn't fixed. You're not genetically programmed for financial chaos. You learned these behaviors, absorbed these beliefs, developed these patterns, which means you can unlearn them, reject them, replace them, but only if you stop clinging to the story that this is just how you are. One of the hardest truths: breaking the pattern will feel wrong at first. When you've been operating a certain way for years, any deviation feels uncomfortable, unnatural, even dangerous. Your brain resists because it prefers the familiar. Even when the familiar is harmful, you'll experience internal pushback, doubt, anxiety, the urge to revert. That's normal. It doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're challenging a deeply rooted system, and systems don't go down without a fight. Expect resistance. Don't let it stop you. You'll also face external resistance. People around you might not support your change. They might mock your new habits, pressure you to spend, or accuse you of being cheap or boring. This happens because your change threatens their patterns. If you start succeeding where they're stuck, it holds up a mirror they don't want to look into. Don't expect everyone to cheer for you. Some will, but many won't. Your commitment has to be stronger than their opinions. Progress won't be linear. You'll have good weeks and bad weeks. You'll make smart decisions and stupid ones. The pattern will reassert itself occasionally, and you'll slip back into old behavior. That's not failure. That's the process. What matters is that you notice when it happens, understand why, and choose differently the next time. Over time, the good decisions will outnumber the bad ones, and the new pattern will start to take root. But it requires persistence through the messy middle where nothing feels certain. Here's what most people miss. Financial transformation isn't a single decision. It's 1,000 small decisions made consistently over time. It's choosing not to buy that thing today. It's opening the budgeting app even when you don't want to. It's having the uncomfortable conversation about money instead of avoiding it. It's saying no to social pressure. It's sitting with the discomfort of delayed gratification. None of these moments feel significant in isolation, but collectively, they rewrite the pattern. That's how real change happens. Incrementally, invisibly, until one day you look around and realize your financial reality is completely different. The brutal truth is that most people won't do this work. They'll keep hoping for external solutions, a better job, an inheritance, a lottery win, a miracle. They'll try surface-level fixes that don't address the core issue, get frustrated when nothing changes, and resign themselves to financial mediocrity. They'll repeat the pattern until it becomes their entire life story. But it doesn't have to be yours. You have a choice. You can keep running the same unconscious script and expect it to somehow produce different results. Or you can stop, examine the pattern, understand how it operates, and systematically dismantle it. The second path is harder. It requires honesty, effort, discomfort, and time. But it's the only path that leads somewhere different. Everything else is just a variation of where you already are. The question isn't whether you can change. You can. The question is whether you're willing to do what change actually requires. Are you willing to sit with discomfort instead of spending your way out of it? Are you willing to challenge beliefs you've held for decades? Are you willing to be the person in your social circle who does things differently? Are you willing to fail, learn, and try again without giving up? Your answers to these questions will determine your financial future far more than your income or opportunities ever will. Patterns are powerful, but they're not permanent. They can be interrupted, examined, and replaced, but only if you stop pretending they don't exist. Only if you stop blaming circumstances and start taking full responsibility for the role you play in creating your financial reality. That responsibility isn't a burden. It's the source of your power. If you're creating the problem, you can create the solution, but you have to own it completely. So look at your financial results honestly. Strip away the excuses, the justifications, the bad luck stories. What you see is the output of your current behavioral pattern. If you're okay with that, do nothing. But if you're not, if you know you're capable of more, if you're tired of repeating the same struggles, if you're ready to stop living on autopilot, then it's time to break the pattern. Not tomorrow. Not when circumstances improve. Now, with what you have. Starting small but starting decisively. The life you want financially exists on the other side of the pattern you're currently running. There's no shortcut around it, no hack, no secret strategy that bypasses the work. You have to go through it, acknowledge it, understand it, dismantle it, and build something better in its place. That's the path. It's not easy, but it's real, and it works for anyone willing to walk it. Are you getting the results you want? If not, what pattern are you running that's producing them? And more importantly, what are you going to do about it?